Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds. It's Tuesday morning. We're in the studio. Let's talk about that Monday night game against the Chiefs and Saints in Arrowhead last night. I was in heaven. I was watching that game on TV. I had my phone propped up to next to me watching the Royals and the Yankees in New York at the same time. My wife came in the living room, looked at me, and she goes, 2 games, huh? And then went off and did something else, and I was in heaven.
She didn't say you're in trouble.
No, she said she went and did something else, and I sat there and finished them both, and it was a great night because both my teams got a dub. So let's start with the Chiefs first. Your thoughts on that game?
Just really a routine victory. There was not a great moment of excitement in the game. It's total domination by Kansas City, and you take a look at the time of possession, and it's 40-20. 40 in favor of the Chiefs, 20 for the New Orleans Saints. They simply could not muster any kind of consistent offense, and you knew that was going to happen because Kansas City's defense, as we pointed out, is going to win almost every time out. They're big, they're quick, and they're hostile. And you've got to give the Kansas City Ball Club credit. They talked a little bit late in the game about the fact that they hadn't called Chris Jones' name very much. Well, all of a sudden they started calling his name every time he got into the backfield. Jones, of course, is huge, but he's not necessarily a slow guy. He can chase you down, and he can create havoc. And we've talked about that for years now. The guy's an all-pro, and indeed really headlines the defense. But Derek Carr, under constant pressure, he did throw for a couple of touchdowns, but his total yardage was negligible, to say the very least, and he was under pressure the whole time, and that's what the Chiefs do. I really thought New Orleans made a big mistake by not dropping him back 2 steps and hitting dinks and dunks over the middle. Could have done that, and they would have caught the Chiefs a little unawares by doing that, throwing underneath the coverage. But they didn't choose to do that. They chose several options of running sideline patterns and things like this, and it really didn't work because that takes time to manifest itself. But you really have to like the way Kansas City played defense. Almost, let's see, I think Mahomes had 331 yards in passing, and Kareem Hunt had over 100 yards rushing. And look at the total offense of what New Orleans had, just over 200 yards. That's nothing in the NFL. My goodness, that's 1 quarter for some teams, but those some teams aren't playing the Chiefs either.
Yeah, Chiefs D-man just lights out, and big props to big Travis Kelce finally getting involved in the offense last night, big time. That tight end looked pretty awesome at times, having 3 guys out there.
and it's a pretty good plan. Noah Gray and Kelce in there, and we've talked about this before. It's not that Kelce can't do it; he wasn't needed with the quickness that Kansas City has on offense. Well, that quickness has been blunted now with Rashee Rice being out of there, and who knows how other teams might address that. This is the first time, really, that the teams have had a chance to see what the Chiefs do without Rice in there. So these are pretty smart defensive guys. They can come up with a lot of game plans, but so far nothing has happened, and Kansas City's been able to really dominate almost every game they played. Yeah, the scores are close. They look close, but they really aren't. Kansas City was never in trouble last night, in my opinion.
Going 5-0 into the bye week is a really good feeling, but then, man, we've got a monster finish to this schedule. I mean, especially in December where we're playing 3 games in 11 days or something like that.
It is 3 and 11 days, and Saturday, Wednesday, and Friday, I think it is, around the Thanksgiving holiday, and it does, and that's the way the NFL wants it because the TV ratings are there. But hey, Kansas City I don't think they're going to go undefeated, but they're a pretty good football team, folks, and they're headed for, in my opinion, another championship run, maybe a three-peat. It is possible. You don't want to say that too soon because anything can happen, but they've overcome injuries. They've overcome some deficiencies in their attack, and they're still winning, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and it was great to see Big Kareem Hunt get a TD last night back at home at Arrowhead. So 49ers up next after they rest their injuries over the next bye week, and it's been a good season so far.
Oh, gosh, a great season. This is a good team, a really good team.
I think so, too, especially that defense. And Spags has just been unbelievable watching his playing every single week. Royals got a huge win in New York last night, Game 2 of their series with the Yankees. It's awesome to see what they've been able to do against some incredible pitchers, but what's concerning to me is Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny P have not been able to get their bats going at all. So it's kind of flipped. It's like the guys that got them there have been silent, and then the other part of the order is actually the ones pulling them through.
And you should be encouraged.
Oh, I mean, that
happening.
feels good, but it's also kind of disconcerting because it's like, Bobby, what's going down, man?
That has happened in the past. I remember the Brooklyn Dodgers at 51 had a great year, and their big star, first baseman Gil Hodges, went something like 2 for 20 in the World Series. They won the series anyway, so it doesn't. You can be misled by what guys have done during the regular season. And there are slumps that players go into as well as teams. I thought the Royals played very well. 26-13, Kansas City Chiefs win their game. The Royals win by a score of 4-2 with all 4 runs coming in the 4th inning. Mikhail Garcia, oh my goodness sake, 4 for 5 last night. He had 1 RBI. Salvi Perez had a home run. But putting together those 4 runs against Carlos Rondon is pretty doggone good. He's a fair pitcher, and the Yankees had him on the ropes. Now, what did the Royals do with their pitching? Well, they had Cole Ragans in there. He only pitched 4 innings. That's all he was in there, just 4. And what did he do? Limited in that 4 innings. The Yankees to 3 hits, struck out 5, and then 4 relievers come in out of the pen, and they shut down New York until the 9th inning. I thought it was a pretty good performance by Kansas City, and it does tie the series now at a game apiece. Now they move to Kauffman Stadium, and they'll start their competition coming up tomorrow night. And then it goes Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because they don't take any days off, and that's the same for the National League. There are 2 National League games coming up today. New York Mets and the Phillies, they play at Citi Field in New York, and then later on tonight, the Padres and the Dodgers in San Diego. This time, interesting to see how the fans react in that one. So it should be just a lot of fun, and that's what the playoffs are all about. They are short series. Anything can happen.
I feel bad for that dude from the Padres. It always seems like he gets stuff thrown at him. I just feel bad for him.
Tatis Jr.
Well, you know what? Hey, big props to Mike Schilt, man. I'm looking at you, buddy, and I wish him all the best in the postseason.
He didn't tell the fans to throw stuff.
Well, no, he did not. But yeah, that's the playoff schedule. And how do you feel about your Phillies in this series?
Not optimistic, and I'll tell you why I'm not. Philadelphia is a good team. They are not, in my opinion, a great team. They do have a lot of power in their lineup, and that came to the fore in their most recent game, the 7-6 win over the New York Mets. But they can't manifest itself every single game. Philly has to have good pitching. They'll have Aaron Nola on the hill today, and he was at one time one of their ace pitchers out of LSU. But in terms of consistency, Philadelphia has the penchant for going in slumps and not hitting well. So I don't view it optimistically. I think the New York Mets are probably going to come out of that.
We'll see what happens. If you got a chance to hear Ned talk last night, you would have heard that our very own Missouri State Bears are nationally ranked.
They are indeed. Number 25 in America in the FCS rankings. FCS is the Football Championship Division. I much prefer to call it 1AA. But this is the Bears last year in 1AA, and they're a good football team. Are they a great football team? That remains to be seen because there's a long way to go this season. But they've played well. Jacob Clark, the quarterback, is doing a fantastic job. They're a wide-open, quick-strike team. And this week, coming off a bye week, the Bears will be in Normal, Illinois to play Illinois State. And they're playing a team this weekend that thrashed Southern Illinois. I think it was 41-10 or something like that. Illinois State's good. And then they're nothing but good teams from there on in, with South Dakota State and North Dakota State still lying there in wait on the schedule. And those teams, Mike, are as good as any that the Bears will play at an upper level. They're very good football teams. But that's what it's all about. That's why you play the game. So the Bears, number 25 in America, play Illinois State on Saturday.
Got to prove it. Ain't no one going to give it to you, Ned. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.